Well, it's a lovely day, so I thought I'd do this outside and just give you a little summary of what I think of the Mini ATS radio, the pros and cons, and as in the title of this video, how it's really surprised me, okay? But I'll start off with a couple of the cons about this radio, a few of the things I don't like. There aren't that many, and they're not that serious, but it's worth looking at anyway. I've got a little list here, so you'll have to excuse me while I look down. As I've said from the start, the construction of this radio concerned me a little bit. I saw some of the early reviews. This is supposed to be a uprated model, this one, the AMN Volt version. Okay, but it's still a 3D printed case. It looks to me to be a bit better than some of the earlier ones, but I don't have an earlier one to compare it to. So if you've got an earlier one, you know, you might not agree, but it's still a kind of 3D construction. There's some gaps in the case there. But do you know what? It's okay. It's not the best. It's maybe not what we've come to expect with the ATS radios. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, you know, what do you expect for the money? Well, this ATS 20 here is in an aluminium case. You can get these for about 16 UK pounds now. So that's maybe what I expected. I have seen these little Mini ATSs now in an aluminium case, but for some reason, the cost of them, it's about 3 times the cost of the plastic cased ones. So at the moment, not worth it. Maybe they'll come down, but maybe this does add to the lightweight appeal of the radio. It's tiny, it's very lightweight. You could put it in a pocket and not notice you've got it. So I'm calling it a con here, but you may see the lightweight construction of it as an advantage. So that's fair enough. Okay, what else? The micro switch on the side for the on-off feels a little bit fragile. Okay, that's the only other control button, if you like, that you've got other than the tuning knob. So that's a little bit, maybe a little bit tricky to turn on and off, could be better, but that's a minor thing again. Radio's got a colour screen, and you know my thoughts on colour screens and visibility, but actually, although it's not as visible as a monochrome LCD, this screen is surprisingly good in the light. It really is. So that the colour screen, not too much of a drawback with this one. If you crank the brightness up, it's acceptable outside. The volume from the tiny speaker, which you see the tiny speaker grill on the back there, is a little bit limited. Okay, that's only to be expected. It's a very, very small radio. It's going to have a very small speaker. The volume through headphones is adequate, more than adequate. On the speaker's okay if you're in a quiet room or you're outside and it's quiet, but you may hear in the video here, I'm in my garden, there's dogs barking, not my dog incidentally. There's dogs barking, and if I were to film this radio in action now, maybe that you'd struggle to hear it on the speaker. Okay, like all ATS radios, this little radio has got no internal AM medium wave antenna. So if you want to listen to medium wave, you're going to need certainly a wire, which isn't going to perform particularly well on medium wave. Better still, a medium wave loop like the Texan AN 200. I've got something like that, and it will work well on medium wave then. But it's not going to work very well at all on medium wave on its own whip. Okay, so bear that in mind if you're thinking of medium wave. And lastly, although this has a CB band built into the band listings on the radio, it does not receive FM on HF, okay? So it's AM, single sideband, and of course you can listen to CW, but there's no FM on HF on this radio, okay? Just so you're aware. Now the pros, what I really like about this radio, well, look how compact it is. It's tiny, okay? It's lightweight. You can put it in a pocket. You won't notice you've got it, okay? Early indications from my use of this is the battery life is pretty good. I've charged it up once. I've played around with the radio quite a lot. It's still showing a full charge. So I think battery life's going to be okay with this one. As I've already said, if you plug a set of headphones into it, the volume is more than adequate. I've heard people say with the earlier versions of this radio that the audio can be a bit distorted. I've found the opposite with this. In fact, the audio quality on broadcast FM is really rather good, very surprisingly so. And on AM, on shortwave, it's absolutely fine. The only thing I've noticed is on a strong signal, a strong SSB, single sideband signal, you can get a little bit of distortion. I think that's the AGC action in the radio. There's not a lot you can do about that. But I've only noticed that once or twice on a couple of really strong signals, so it shouldn't really be an issue, particularly not if you're using you know, small antennas or the whip. You're not going to get that issue. Although you've only got the one control knob here, and I was concerned that's going to make it complicated to operate, the user interface is fairly straightforward. I showed you how to operate it in the first video, and it's pretty good on the firmware that this one's running. This comes up as version 1.01, and it seems to work fine. Okay, again on broadcast FM, on the FM band, this has got RDS. The RDS is basic, it doesn't seem to scroll. When I've been using it here, it just comes up with the station name, which is really all you need if you're interested in a bit of FM DXing. So the RDS, it seems to lock on well, it works quite well. Sensitivity on broadcast FM, it's not as good as a QDOSN, but it's not bad. It's better than most of the ATS radios, okay, that I've used in the past. The FM reception is better, and the RDS is better. So it's a win on RDS. Like I see, it's not super sensitive, but it's adequately sensitive, and for general FM listening, it's absolutely fine. Okay, so the performance overall really surprised me. This, in my opinion, receives better than any of the other ATS radios I've got. It overloads less, and the reception generally on shortwave and medium wave and on long wave is better. Better than the ATS 20 Plus, which isn't too bad. Better than the ATS 25, which I really don't rate. It's way ahead of the oddball ATS 60 and ATS 80, both of which were pretty deaf and had poor FM performance. This is better than all of those, okay? And as a basic shortwave receiver, I think it's a really good starter receiver. I paid, I think it was 27 UK pounds delivered for this so-called upgraded version. As you may be able to get them slightly cheaper now. You know, if you have the kind of less attractive 3D, I mean, this is 3D printed with a less attractive casing. I'm not certain whether the hardware is any better in this one than those, but I haven't experienced any of the distortion problems or anything like that with this. It's actually worked very well. So where do we go with this? Well, obviously it's possible to upgrade the firmware. Now, I'm not eager to upgrade the firmware on this one at the moment because it simply works okay. The screen visibility is good. I know you can have firmware where you can change screen colors and so on. I'd be a bit concerned that maybe that would impact on the outdoor visibility of the screen. I'm tempted to pick up one of the cheaper versions and maybe update that firmware and leave this one alone. Like all of these radios, if you want to get the best out of it, and I'm going to put a video up on my channel, you know, just talking about getting the best out of these type of radios, because I've been asked about this before. But, you know, the whip is fine to start off with on shortwave, particularly if you're listening after dark. But if you're going to stick with the included whip, you are going to be disappointed generally. Get a bit of wire outside, you know, as long as and as high as you can, and this little receiver will really shine. I'm also going to try it with my Texan loop on medium wave. I've tried it with a Wellbrook loop, which is outside behind me there, and it actually works very, very well. It didn't overload either. I'll try it on the little Texan loop, and we'll see how we go with some sort of portable medium wave listening. I've already shown you the performance on shortwave and on medium wave. I'll do a little bit of after dark listening with the whip on shortwave so we can see how that performs. But for the radio to shine, please throw a wire up outside and see what you can hear. there isn't much competition for this style of radio at the moment, I don't think. I mean, something this compact, you can slip in a pocket and will tune medium wave, short wave and FM. The nearest thing that I'm aware to it is one of these. Okay, the Belela DX. It's quite a bit bigger and heavier than the Mini ATS. I'm going to compare the two. It's probably going to be an unfair comparison because this Belela cost, what, about 5 times the cost of the ATS 25. Not surprisingly, it feels better built. It only receives shortwave. There's no broadcast FM. On the version I have, it's the older version, there is no long or medium wave. If you buy a new Belela, you will get, I think, coverage from about 100 kilohertz up. This one starts at 1.5 megahertz, so right at the top end of the AM or medium wave band. Obviously, this covers 150 kilohertz up to 30 megs, and it does band 2 FM, which the Belela doesn't do. But we'll compare these two on shortwave, both on AM and on SSB, and see how it pans out. In the meantime, I'm going to have some fun with this. You can, if you put this in your pocket, you would know it was there. It's that lightweight. It's that small. It's probably not that robust, but, at the cost, it doesn't cost much to replace. And it's a little bit of fun to have shortwave listening. So that's my thought. It's actually a thumbs up for me on this one. And I'm surprised to be saying that. I thought I'd be saying it was a load of rubbish, to be honest. But it isn't. I really like it. So there it is, the Mini ATS 25. I'm told, incidentally, that the chip in here, I think it's an ESP32, not the radio part of the receiver, but the control chip. I'm told that it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capabilities. So we may see some firmware updates in the future. I don't know that actually harness those. I'm not quite sure why you'd want to hook it up to Wi-Fi, but I can see a Bluetooth application in terms of Bluetooth speakers and Bluetooth headphones. That would be quite neat with this receiver. So wait and see, watch this space. There may be, there's always people out there playing with the firmware development. So let's keep an eye on that. Thanks for watching. Look out for the next one when we'll have a look at this against the Belela here. And I'll show you some more general listening. Keep an eye on my shorts. There'll be more shorts coming of this in action, particularly at night, listening to pirates, listening to medium wave and shortwave pirates. And you can see how it sounds and how it looks. Thanks for watching.